He was a billionaire used to luxury, power, and appearances. But one day, he walked into a room and saw something that changed his life forever. His mother, suffering from Alzheimer's, being gently cared for by the quiet maid he barely noticed before. She wasn't doing it for praise or money. What he did next left everyone speechless. He was a billionaire accustomed to the finest things in life: private jets, sprawling estates, and a world that bent to his every whim. But nothing could prepare him for the day he stumbled upon a scene that shattered his carefully curated reality. There, in the dim light of his mother's private wing, he saw the family maid, a woman he'd barely registered before, cradling his ailing mother with a tenderness that pierced his soul. His mother, once a pillar of strength, now lost in the fog of Alzheimer's, was being shielded from harm not by family or hired nurses, but by this unassuming housekeeper who asked for nothing in return. In that instant, the illusions of power and prestige crumbled, revealing the raw truth about loyalty in a world obsessed with appearances. What he did next not only stunned his inner circle, but redefined everything he thought he knew about love and gratitude, leaving everyone, including those who doubted human kindness still existed, utterly speechless. Before we dive deeper into this heart-wrenching tale, hit that subscribe button if you love stories that remind us of the power of compassion, and drop a like to show your support. Oh, and comment below, where are you tuning in from today? We'd love to hear from our global family of viewers. Now, let's step inside the world of Daniel Harrington, a man whose fortune rivaled his emotional detachment. His mansion stood as a testament to success, a towering edifice of glass and marble overlooking manicured gardens and a fleet of luxury cars. To the outside world, it screamed perfection. But behind those gilded doors lurked a silent storm. Daniel's mother, Eleanor Harrington, had been the architect of his drive, instilling in him the values of ambition and resilience. Yet now, as Alzheimer's mercilessly stripped away her memories, she wandered the halls like a ghost, her once sharp mind reduced to fragments of the past. Daniel, consumed by boardroom battles and high society galas, had outsourced her care, believing money could solve any problem. Enter Marina Lopez, the quiet maid who'd been with the family for years, her days filled with dusting chandeliers and polishing silver. But as Eleanor's condition worsened, Marina stepped beyond her duties, becoming a silent guardian. She wasn't motivated by overtime pay or recognition. It was pure, unadulterated empathy. And then there was Victoria Sinclair, Daniel's glamorous fiancée, whose beauty masked a heart as cold as the diamonds she wore. She played the part flawlessly in public, but alone with Eleanor, her impatience turned vicious. Little did Daniel know, the day he witnessed Marina's act of protection would ignite a chain of events that exposed betrayals, forged unbreakable bonds, and led to a decision so profound it shocked the world. Stay with us as we unravel this story of hidden heroes and fallen facades. From the outside, Daniel's mansion was a symbol of untouchable wealth, imposing gates guarded by security, winding driveways lined with imported palms, and a facade that gleamed under the sun like a polished jewel. Visitors marveled at its grandeur. Crystal chandeliers that cascaded light across expansive rooms, marble floors that echoed with every step, and gardens meticulously designed with fountains and exotic blooms. It was the kind of place that whispered of endless success, where parties unfolded with champagne flowing and influential guests mingling. But this perfection was a veneer, hiding the fractures within. Behind the elegance lay a family grappling with an invisible thief, Alzheimer's disease, which had claimed Eleanor's mind piece by piece. The household staff moved like shadows, maintaining the illusion while doctors visited discreetly, their diagnoses kept under wraps to preserve the family's pristine image. Eleanor's presence in the mansion was a quiet reminder of vulnerability amid opulence. She resided in a lavish suite, but her world had shrunk to confusion and fleeting memories. The family avoided discussing her condition openly, treating it as a minor inconvenience rather than a profound loss. Daniel ensured top-tier medical attention, but his involvement was distant, checks written, schedules arranged, yet rarely a personal touch. The real burden fell on the staff, particularly Marina, who transformed routine chores into acts of guardianship. She monitored Eleanor's safety, guided her through disorienting moments, and provided the consistency the disease craved. Yet even as the mansion sparkled for outsiders, the internal atmosphere was thick with unspoken strain. Laughter was rare, conversations clipped, and the air carried a subtle heaviness, like a storm brewing behind closed doors. This hidden struggle extended beyond Eleanor. Daniel's life, while enviable, was isolated. Friends were business associates, relationships transactional. Victoria, his fiancée, embodied the ideal partner on paper, elegant, poised, and socially adept. But her integration into the household amplified the tensions. She viewed Eleanor's illness as an embarrassment, a flaw in the perfect life she envisioned. Whispers among the staff hinted at her impatience, but no one dared speak up. Marina, ever observant, saw the cracks widening. The mansion's beauty masked a deeper isolation, where emotional needs went unmet amid material abundance. Guests left impressed by the surface, oblivious to the pain simmering beneath. In this world of appearances, the true battles were fought in silence, with Eleanor's fading light casting long shadows over everything. As the disease progressed, the mansion's routines adapted in subtle ways. Meals were served with precision, but Eleanor's plate often went untouched unless prompted. The gardens, once a place of solace, became a labyrinth where she might wander lost. Daniel's absences grew longer, his empire demanding more, leaving the void to be filled by hired hands. Yet it was Marina who bridged the gap, her presence a constant in the chaos. The household's facade held, but barely, polished surfaces reflecting back a distorted reality. Outsiders envied the life inside, but those within knew the cost. A family unraveling thread by thread, with Alzheimer's as the unrelenting force pulling at the seams. Eleanor Harrington had once been the epitome of grace and determination, a woman who commanded respect in every room she entered. Born into modest means, she had built a life of influence through sheer will, marrying into wealth and raising Daniel with lessons in perseverance and excellence. She hosted lavish events, advised on business ventures, and nurtured her son's ambitions, teaching him that success was earned, not given. Her mind was sharp, her wit unmatched, and her love fierce yet disciplined. Friends recalled her as a force, organizing charities, traveling the world, and always one step ahead. But Alzheimer's arrived like a thief in the night, first with forgotten names, then misplaced items, and eventually entire days lost to confusion. The decline was gradual, but devastating. Mornings where she dressed impeccably turned into struggles with buttons and zippers. Conversations that once flowed with insight became repetitive loops, questions asked and answered multiple times. She might gaze at family photos, recognizing faces one moment, strangers the next. Anger flared unexpectedly, born of frustration at her own unraveling mind. Some days, she retreated into silence, staring out windows as if searching for lost pieces of herself. Others brought paranoia, accusations of theft for items she had hidden away. The disease didn't just steal memories, it eroded her dignity, leaving a shell of the vibrant woman she had been. Daniel watched from afar, his love genuine but his coping mechanism detachment. He hired specialists, installed safety measures, but avoided the emotional toll. Visits were brief, filled with awkward small talk, as if acknowledging the full extent would make it too real. Eleanor's world narrowed to the mansion's walls, her independence fading like ink on old paper. She clung to routines, finding comfort in familiar scents or songs from her youth. Yet the confusion bred isolation. Staff tiptoed around her, unsure how to bridge the gap. In quiet moments, she whispered names of the deceased, her mind a tapestry of past and present woven chaotically. The progression accelerated, turning bad days into the norm. Simple tasks like eating became battles, her hands trembling as memories of how to hold a fork slipped away. Doctors adjusted medications, but the core remained untreatable, a relentless march toward oblivion. Daniel's guilt simmered beneath his busy schedule, manifesting in lavish gifts for his mother that went unused. The mansion, once alive with her energy, now echoed with her absences. Eleanor's story was one of tragic contrast, from a life of command to one of quiet surrender. Her legacy preserved in Daniel's success, but her present a shadow. Through it all, one constant emerged, Marina, whose patience became the anchor in Eleanor's storm-tossed sea. Marina Lopez hailed from a humble village in rural Mexico, where life was simple and hard work the norm. With limited education and dreams bigger than her circumstances, she immigrated young, seeking opportunity in the bustling cities of America. Starting as a cleaner in small hotels, she learned English through sheer determination, her quiet demeanor hiding a resilient spirit. Years of low-paying jobs built her character, punctual, meticulous, and unfailingly kind. When she joined the Harrington household, it was just another gig, dusting, laundry, and errands. But Marina's empathy set her apart. She noticed the little things, like how Eleanor preferred her tea or the way sunlight cheered her up. As Eleanor's Alzheimer's worsened, Marina's role evolved organically. She didn't wait for instructions. She acted, reading library books on the disease during breaks. She learned techniques, speaking calmly, using visual cues, avoiding arguments over forgotten facts. Her days stretched long, waking early to prepare breakfast, guiding Eleanor through hygiene routines, and staying late to ensure peaceful nights. Marina created a safe space in Eleanor's room, soft lighting, familiar photos, and soothing music to ease agitation. When Eleanor panicked, mistaking shadows for intruders, Marina held her hand, whispering reassurances, until calm returned. It wasn't about the paycheck. It was a calling, born from her own losses, caring for an aging grandmother back home. Dedication defined Marina. She sacrificed personal time, her social life sparse, family visits rare. Yet complaints were absent. She believed kindness was its own reward. Daniel barely noticed her efforts. His world orbits away, but that didn't deter her. Victoria's presence added complexity. Marina observed the fiancé's disdain, but focused on Eleanor. Small acts accumulated. Reading aloud from old novels, walking in the garden to stimulate memories, even singing lullabies on restless nights. Marina's background fueled her compassion. She knew hardship, understood vulnerability. In a house of wealth, she was the poorest in status but richest in heart. Her loyalty, unspoken but unbreakable. Over time, Marina became Eleanor's lifeline, anticipating needs before they arose. She documented moods in a notebook, adjusting routines accordingly. When doctors visited, she provided insights they valued. Her humility shone, never boasting, always deflecting praise. In rare free moments, she dreamed of her own family. But duty came first. Marina's story was one of quiet heroism, transforming a job into a mission. In the mansion's opulent halls, she moved like a guardian angel, her dedication the glue holding Eleanor's fragile world together. Victoria Sinclair glided into Daniel's life like a vision from a high-fashion magazine. Tall, with cascading auburn hair, flawless skin, and an aura of effortless sophistication. She was the daughter of a prominent businessman, educated at elite schools and versed in the art of social climbing. To the world, she was the perfect match for Daniel. Charming at galas, articulate in conversations, and always camera-ready. Their engagement photos splashed across society pages, portraying a fairy tale romance. But beneath the gloss lay a calculated core. Victoria sought security and status, viewing Daniel as a stepping stone to greater heights. In the mansion, her facade cracked when unobserved. Eleanor represented an inconvenience, a reminder of mortality amid her aspirations. Publicly, Victoria feigned concern. Light touches on the arm, inquiries about health, staged hugs for Daniel's benefit. Alone, however, her true colors emerged. She avoided Eleanor's room, rolling eyes at repeated questions or dismissing confusions with sharp sighs. "Not this again," she'd mutter, her tone laced with irritation. "If Eleanor mistook her for someone else," Victoria snapped. "I'm not her. Get it right. These barbs," delivered in whispers, chipped at Eleanor's spirit, leaving her withdrawn and anxious. Marina witnessed the escalation. Victoria's orders to staff to isolate Eleanor during events, claiming it was for her rest. She rearranged furniture without regard, removing Eleanor's favorite chair because it clashed with decor. Meals were critiqued harshly if Eleanor spilled. Victoria's disgust barely veiled. In private, the cruelty intensified, mocking Eleanor's forgetfulness, whispering sarcasms like, "Sit still and don't embarrass us." Victoria's fear was exposure. Eleanor's condition threatened her perfect image. She pushed Daniel toward nursing homes, framing it as compassion but really to remove the burden. The contrast was stark. Victoria's beauty hid ugliness, her smiles weapons. She thrived on control, manipulating perceptions while eroding Eleanor's dignity. Marina's discomfort grew, but speaking out risked everything. Victoria's hold seemed ironclad, her cruelty a shadow lengthening over the household. Yet in this game of appearances, cracks formed, subtle at first, but destined to shatter the illusion. As weeks turned to months, the mansion's undercurrents grew turbulent. Marina's observations sharpened. What began as fleeting unkindnesses evolved into deliberate patterns. Victoria's cruelty manifested in isolation tactics, locking Eleanor in her room during gatherings, claiming protection from overstimulation. Marina found her charge tearful, confused by the exclusion. "Why can't I join?" Eleanor would ask, her voice small. Marina soothed without answers, her anger simmering. Victoria's barbs sharpened, scolding Eleanor for dropped items, her voice rising when Daniel was absent. "You're a mess," she'd hiss, leaving Marina to clean up emotional wreckage. Marina's conflict deepened. Loyalty to her job clashed with moral imperative. She began documenting incidents in a hidden notebook. Dates, words, reactions. It was a safeguard, born of fear that things could worsen. Victoria noticed Marina's protectiveness, responding with colder assignments, extra chores, late hours, veiled threats. "Know your place," she'd say, eyes narrowing. Marina endured, her focus unwavering on Eleanor, interrupting tense moments with gentle diversions. The tension thickened the air. Staff whispered, sensing the divide. Daniel remained oblivious, his trust in Victoria blind. One evening, Victoria's impatience boiled over. Eleanor, in a lucid moment, asked about wedding plans. Victoria sneered, "As if you'd remember." Marina, entering, stood firm. "That's uncalled for." The glare exchanged was electric. A line crossed. Victoria stormed off, but the seed of confrontation planted. Marina's determination hardened. Silence no longer sufficed. She pondered telling Daniel, weighing risks. The mansion felt like a pressure cooker, hidden struggles bubbling closer to the surface. Eleanor's nervousness around Victoria grew, her trust in Marina absolute. The balance teetered, truth inching toward revelation. The pivotal dinner was orchestrated as a showcase of Daniel's influence, crystal gleaming, candles flickering, classical music underscoring elegance. Guests included business tycoons and socialites, all impressed by the opulence. Eleanor sat quietly, dressed impeccably, her presence a nod to family unity. Midway through, she turned to a guest, smiling warmly. "You remind me of my late brother," she said, touching his arm innocently. The table hushed, awkwardness rippling. Victoria's face twisted. She rose sharply. "Eleanor, stop confusing everyone. You're being a burden," her voice cutting like glass. Gasps echoed. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Marina, serving nearby, stepped forward without hesitation. "She's not a burden, she's remembering fondly." "It's human," she declared, hand on Eleanor's shoulder. The room froze. An older guest nodded approvingly. Eleanor squeezed Marina's hand, whispering, "My daughter." Tears glistened in Marina's eyes, but she stood resolute. Daniel watched, confusion dawning. Victoria fumed, her mask slipping publicly. The evening continued tensely, but the incident lingered, whispers circulating. Post-dinner, Victoria cornered Marina. "You humiliated me. You'll pay." Marina replied evenly, "I protected her." The conflict ignited openly. Daniel, escorting guests, sensed the shift, his faith in Victoria cracking. Daniel returned from a trip earlier than planned, the mansion's quiet facade belying inner turmoil. Hearing raised voices from Eleanor's room, he approached silently. Peering in, he witnessed Victoria gripping Eleanor's arm harshly, berating her for mumbling nonsense. "Stop living in the past, you're insane!" Victoria snarled. Eleanor trembled, eyes wide with fear. Marina burst in, positioning herself between them. "Let her go now. She's scared, not hurting anyone." Victoria released her roughly, sneering, "Maids don't dictate here." Daniel's world tilted. The scene crystallized months of ignored signs. He stepped forward, voice steady. "What's happening?" Victoria spun, composing herself. But Daniel had seen enough. The cruelty, Marina's bravery, Eleanor's vulnerability. Truth flooded in, reshaping everything. The confrontation unfolded in the living room, Daniel facing Victoria with unyielding resolve. "I saw it all, your mistreatment, the lies." Victoria protested. "It was stress. She's difficult." Daniel cut her off. "No excuses. You've abused my mother, faked care for image." Tears welled in Victoria's eyes, but they were of frustration, not remorse. "I sacrificed for us," she cried. Daniel shook his head. "You sacrificed nothing real. The engagement ends now." Shock silenced her. She gathered belongings, slamming the door on her exit. Relief washed over the house, Marina's quiet vindication palpable. In the aftermath, Daniel transformed. He immersed in Eleanor's care, learning from Marina. Routines, patience, presence. The mansion warmed. Laughter returned, staff relaxed. Daniel rewarded Marina with a substantial bonus and family status. "You're the heart here," he said. Bonds deepened. Eleanor's good days multiplied. Daniel's gesture shocked society, but he valued loyalty over legacy. The mansion, freed from pretense, became a sanctuary. Daniel reflected on lessons learned. True worth in kindness, not wealth. Marina remained humble, her role elevated yet unchanged in spirit. Eleanor in clarity called her daughter a title earned. The story's moral: loyalty shocks when appearances fade. Subscribe for more. Comment your thoughts. Until next time.